There we go. It's working now. Click the wrong button, I think. So anyway, welcome the handful of viewers that I got here. This is a bit of an experiment for several different reasons. First of all, the time of day is a little bit unusual. Most of the time I do live streams during what's daytime for me, which unfortunately for a lot of parts of the world is the middle of the night or maybe even evening where it's a little less convenient to watch. But yeah, it's midnight for me here, which it's actually not late for me. I usually don't get to bed till about 2 a.m. and so midnight I still got at least a couple hours before I go to bed. So it looks like we got a couple of questions. So Tom asked a minute ago, Tom Sykes asked a minute ago if I've tried bonding yet. The answer is not in the way that you were thinking. I have in the trailer a router that can do load balancing, which can help. Particularly I can get all of the non-video traffic off my primary connection and defer it to a secondary connection. But I have not tried bonding in the traditional sense. I did invest in the VidiU Pro a little while ago, so I do have a device that's capable of it. I have not used it for that yet. I haven't had a need thus far. Every place I've been able to go, I've been able to get at least a good quality 480p stream going. So it hasn't been an issue thus far. We actually have pretty good cellular coverage here in this area, and I'm on T-Mobile and they have pretty good coverage in this area. And the modem that I'm using, I guess it's technically a modem that I'm using, actually can work with any carrier. So if T-Mobile doesn't have good coverage, I can pop out the same and put it somewhere else. So, all right. So let's see. Daniel is asking about fiber. When I run fiber from my OB van or trailer to a breakout box, do I run multi-core fiber or single fiber with different wavelengths? So I am currently doing everything except network over 1310 nanometer. And so it is individual fiber strands. There are 12 strands in the trunk cable that I use. 9 of those are usually video from cameras. And then I have 2 strands for return video from the trailer back to the venue, and then 1 strand that operates network. And that strand is bidirectional. So that's operating, I think it's 1490 and 1550 nanometers. So I'm able to do all the network over a single strand. So I will be doing additional wavelengths moving forward, but may not be before I move to a 24 strand trunk cable. I haven't decided yet. So alright, so okay, Mars Video Production, hi from Australia. Thanks for your videos. Glad to do it. Glad to share the knowledge that I'm acquiring as I do this for real. So alright, okay, Go Web Technologies. Can I mount NVS25 on Blackmagic Preamp? NVS25, I'm not actually sure what that is. Maybe do a quick little search here. Data video, NVS streaming appliance. Okay. I haven't actually tried that. I do not know. I don't know if it works. So yeah, unfortunately I can't answer that question there. Sorry, Go Web. Alright, Tom asking, what do you think the trailer is worth now if it's sold to another company? I would probably try to get $250 for it, $250,000, I think. That's just off the top of my head. That's probably what I would ask for it. So, all right, asking about Mark's video, asking about how I'm solving audio delay on Facebook. I haven't had to deal with that. I haven't done any super long Facebook streams, and most of the times when I've seen audio delay issues with Facebook, it's been on the encoder side. It hasn't been a problem with Facebook. And most commonly it's been Wirecast or OBS, and that problem is solved by using a hardware encoder. So I use the Teradek VidiU for my encoding. I haven't had an audio sync issue. Cross my fingers yet. So yeah. So Rigo asking where's my business out of. So it's out of Orem, Utah. It's O-R-E-M, and we are about 35-40 miles south of Salt Lake City, Utah. So you may have heard of Provo. Provo is just down the road. I can almost throw a rock and hit Provo from here. Really close. So, all right. So Tinder. I'm currently running an SDI cable for my crane camera. Is the reason why I should use fiber. I don't have wired intercom or tally. So, well, the reason to use fiber is if you have to run a super long distance. I mean, if you can run video over SDI, sure, go ahead. Why not? SDI is cheaper for short runs, especially if you don't have to get converters. So, yeah, and if you're able to keep under the SDI distance limitations, there's no reason not to. So, yep. Paul, yes, I am live. What are you doing up? You should be packing for your trip. So, all right. So Tom, referring to Mars, you can't affect change any delay in Facebook once set if embedded. Yeah. So you don't have a lot of control over that. Mars Video Productions. What do you use as CDN? I haven't had to deal with that either, to be honest. I'm always streaming directly to like YouTube or Facebook, and those two platforms have covered basically all the needs. It hasn't really been a problem. I've had a few people ask to stream to both Facebook and YouTube simultaneously. However, Facebook terms of service don't allow you to do that, and a lot of the services that will distribute your video won't let you do that at all because of Facebook's terms of service. So, yeah, it's about a problem. So yeah. Ruben saying he bought the Cinegears 200 based on my recommendation. Worked very poorly. Sorry to hear that. That was not my experience. Within 100 feet, it gave digital packets. I have to ask if you tried different channels on that, because it does have 10 different channels you can choose from, and some channels may work a little better than others. So, yeah, give that a try if you haven't already. 600M Plus. Built-in antenna. Yeah, I'd be a little weary of that. I don't think I would personally buy a wireless video system again that doesn't have external antennas. So the 600M Plus actually works on the same frequencies as the 200. They use the same radio signaling. So if you had a problem with the 200, the 600 may not work any better for you. Get in touch with the people there at the Cinegears. They're actually very helpful these days. So yeah, ask them. All right, Ian asking if I have a multi-screen strategy for event type that requires video walls, PVP or ProPresenter. I've heard of ProPresenter. I've not heard of PVP. So I wonder if you're asking about like picture-in-picture kind of thing. And if so, then I just use the super source on my ATEM switcher. That works really well. I just did a video a few weeks ago on some enhancements that I'd figured out how to do picture-in-picture. So yeah, ProPresenter does an alpha key with a deck link. Yeah, so alpha key, deck link. Yeah, there's lots of ways to do the alpha key. Deck link can do it. The Ultra Studio can do it. The HyperDeck Studio Minis can do it for pre-recorded content. So lots of ways. Okay, Go Web. Seen the video, HyperDeck Studio Mini explained how video problem has not been fixed. It is still very much a problem. As I was shooting the video for my review on the Cinegears 200M, when the camera that we were using was far away, I was trying to record the video, and every time the video would cut out, the recorder would stop, and that's on the latest firmware. So the problem has not been fixed as of yet. I'm getting more questions than I would have imagined. I gotta talk a little faster. So Rigo, what cameras do you use for moving around, and do you use stabilization or gimbal? So preferred way to do it is a jib, but that's not always an option. Paul, who's in the chat room here with us right now, he actually bought pivot gimbal, and we use that with my Sony X70, PVM X70 camera. That combination works really well. The camera is lightweight, but still does a great 4K image. It's basically the same quality image as my Z150s that I really like so much. That solution has worked quite well. We're pretty happy with that one. So Satinder, do I have any experience with LED walls? I haven't worked with one directly. I have been on shows where they've had LED walls. I did one just a couple weeks ago. I was camera operator on an event called FanX, which is basically a Salt Lake version of Comic-Con convention. They had an LED video wall there along with a couple projectors. I was not involved in setting any of that up though. So my experience with that was basically just running camera for the video that's going to the LED video wall. Most of those, from what I understand, will take a DVI signal and can convert to a resolution that they'll accept. It should just be a matter of plugging right in. So Tom chiming in about Facebook. If you want to stream to a Facebook page and another RTMP despot, you can do it for Vimeo. I did not know that. That's awesome. You can stream to Vimeo and 2 other platforms included in the price. That's cool. Thanks for sharing that, Tom. That's awesome. ProRes, which means I have to for playback on my HyperDeck Studio Mini. The one I've had the best luck with, I think, was ProRes 4444. That's handy if you're doing like lower. Worked really well. The clips do have to be same like the video format on the HyperDeck. It only in the PVP because it has only the SDI. I wonder if it's YouTube or let's see what YouTube say. Yeah, YouTube says it's straight. Says the signal's bad. Lovely. I don't think I can make any adjustments in the video quality while we're live. Is it any better? Or is it still bad? I guess let me know. Can't really. It's just YouTube says it's okay. Unfortunately, yeah, Tom, this is a good example of why bonding would be good. For these sorts of streams, I'm not gonna pay the money for that kind of thing. So, all right, so yeah, more questions coming in. So let's see. Go web, handy portable setup using Blackmagic Web Presenter and data video NDS 25. Okay, yeah, that seems cool. Yeah. I really very much prefer hardware streaming devices over software. So, yeah. Rigo, so your video on wireless video transmission for cameras. Can you have 2 or more wireless cameras connected to the ATEM without interference? I think it was called the Ghost or something like that. Yeah, that's referring to. I had a video where I talked about the wireless systems that I'd been using at the time I produced it, and then since then I've added a new wireless system. You can do multiple systems simultaneously if the system was designed for it, and the Cinegears system, the Ghost Eye system that I reviewed recently, you can run 4 pretty consistently, reliably. You can technically try to do more than 4, but you can run into some signal interference issues. So, alright, so it's Tinder is asking if I can re-answer some of the questions. Can you guys let me know which questions didn't come through very well? So I'm not monitoring the feed, so I don't know which ones got messed up. And I will probably be re-uploading this video afterwards as well. So I did manage to remember to record this one. Okay, Ian asking what lens I use on my Ursa. So most of the time I use some Rokinon lenses. So let's see, I've got like a 14mm, 24mm, 35mm, 50mm, and 85mm, and all but the 14mm are T1.5s, and the 14 is a T2.9, I think it is. And those are the lenses that I use most of the time, but I've got a whole selection of Canon lenses that I use on there as well. The problem with that is most of my Canon lenses are like f4, and so you have to be in a situation with a lot of light, because those Ursas really do require a lot of light. So, okay, so Tinder asking about the HyperDeck mini file format. So basically, the only format that I've been able to get to work consistently is ProRes. ProRes 4444 or ProRes LT, I think, are the 2 that I've had the best luck with. The main trick there is you got to make sure that the HyperDeck is configured to record the same format that you're trying to play, because it only shows clips that are in the same format as the current record setting. So, yeah. Okay, cheap intercom. I'm gonna try two-way radios between switcher and cam operator. And what's the next cheapest option? First time I ever directed, like, how many years ago was that? 15 years ago? We used some two-way radios. It's not ideal. It did work. Next cheapest option, my gosh, there's EarTech is one of the cheap options. I don't care for the EarTech systems though. I was on a shoot a couple weeks ago where we used the EarTech, and they didn't sound very good, and they had a really nasty echo. The frequency response was horrible on them. And it sounded more like a telephone. And the reason for that is they basically do use telephone technology. So the same technology that you use with your home cordless phone, if you still have one of those. DECT, D-E-C-T, is what the EarTechs use, and we didn't care for those whatsoever. So, yeah, you'll have to see if anybody else in the chat room has good suggestions on cheap intercom. I'm pretty happy with the Blackmagic solution I've got. The only thing that I'm lacking on that is a way to interface that into, say, Clearcom or an RTS system. I know it can be done. I haven't had the need to do that, so I haven't put that into play just yet. So, yeah. So, we've tried using ENG lens on the Blackmagic Studio cameras. I have not. Yeah, I haven't owned any ENG lenses for a few years now. I kind of moved away from that form factor. So, yeah, pulling focus can be tricky. I'm actually in the process of reviewing the Cinegears follow focus right now, and so far I've liked it. You guys have actually seen a video that I did with it. You just didn't know it. The teaser trailer, teaser trailer video that I did. All the rack focus things that I did with that, I actually did with the Cinegears rack follow focus. I'm close to actually publishing a review on that one. So. Ian asking if there's any next planned trailer phase upgrades. Well, I've done most of the audio stuff that I was planning on doing with the purchase of the Yamaha mixer. So next is probably going to be some fiber upgrades. I want to move to 24-strand fiber, and I also want to be able to I also want to do some longer fibers. It's one of the companies that I've been talking to recently, the sporting events, and we're talking about fiber runs of 2 kilometers, 1 to 2 kilometers. So, anyway, let's see. Satinder's saying yes, the EarTech definitely sound like a telephone. Yeah, they do. They definitely do. All right, so Tom saying it's fine. I'd spend tens of thousands of dollars on a trailer using a freaking encoder. It's not the encoder, it's my internet connection, honestly. Some reason we don't have a good internet here. I'm spending $150 a month on my internet connection, and it still sucks. So, yeah. And Tom answering the ENG question, Ursa Mini Pro, yeah. I guess we should also ask if people are using the Ursa Broadcast, because that one's specifically designed for those ENG lenses. So, yeah, EarTech 4 wireless headsets for $700. That seems a little lower than what I've seen those go for, but if you can get them for that, great. Yeah. Ian asking what favorite and least favorite piece of gear in your trailer. Oh gosh, favorite? Probably my smart video hubs, to be honest. I love being able to reroute signals anywhere that I need to send them. So yeah, that's pretty awesome. Least favorite, gosh, what would that be? What do I have most trouble with? I don't think I have anything that I have a ton of trouble with, to be honest. I think most stuff in here actually works pretty well. I did a lot of research before I bought anything from this trailer. So, yeah. Let's see. So Ian saying he uses the Ursa broadcast. Cool. Guys, feel free to use the chat to chat and talk to one another. These don't just have to be questions for me. That actually reminds me. One idea I had, see if you guys, what you guys think of this, was basically a website discussion forums related to video production topics. Would that be something you're interested in? I could throw something together pretty quickly. So if it's something we're interested in, I might consider doing something like that. The idea would be totally free for end users to use, and maybe run the site through some advertising, targeted advertising. I don't know. It's just kind of a thought I had the other day. Alright, so Satendra asking what piece of equipment I have in the trailer that is simple but makes a big difference in the usability efficiency. Again, I have to say the Smart Video Hub. Just not having to actually physically reroute cables just saves a ton of time. Just being able to hit a few buttons and reroute signals that way. So, yeah. Alright, so you guys gonna start a GoFundMe for a live view? Okay, so GoWeb asking what devices will be on my list for making a compact and portable live streaming setup. I think I'm gonna have to do this. I probably can't say a whole lot, but I'm in negotiations for a series of events next year. Series of events across the United States, and they're too far away and too frequent to take the trailer, so I'm going to need a more portable setup. So I'm thinking at this point I probably will just do the Blackmagic Television Studio HD, and just use one of my Teradek VDUs. So but that's still a bit up in the air. I haven't really decided that for sure. So people saying yes to the forum. So, well, let's get a few more people talking about the forum idea. So, I'm considering doing it. I've already got a lot of the code in place to make something like that happen, just because of the my website. So, yeah, a lot of support for the live view, I guess. Okay, so Rigo asking how I do the chat in the live stream. It's just basically I'm mirroring the screen from my laptop, and then I'm using one of the upstream keys on my switcher and just cropping it. So real simple, nothing fancy there. So YouTube is I'm just using the YouTube window and showing it there. So Mars asking if I changed the monitors behind me. No, I have not. Those are the same monitor that I've had all along. Nothing has changed there. There are some monitors in the trailer that have changed. The ones that are on the right wall. Should I call it the starboard side? Most of those monitors on that side have been swapped out because originally they were just HD, and I had planned all along to do 4K. And it wasn't in the budget to do it initially, so I ended up having this wait and swap them out later. So, all right. So Doug had to post your subscription fee to the poll, asking if people would be interested in the forum. I can do that. Thanks for the suggestion. Okay. So Tom Sykes saying he bought the 4K Blackmagic Vision mixer. We call them switchers here, and control surface in one. Very cool. Is the SDI input to have built-in scalers? Yeah, that one's tempting. For something I'm not using a lot, I don't know if I want to spend $3 grand, but I'd consider it. So okay. So we got, I'm not sure how to say your name. Andrew Buttos? I don't know. Just joined. What software are you using for streaming? I'm actually streaming using hardware. It's a Teradek VDU. Yeah. So I have both the VDU and the VDU Pro. They've actually worked pretty well. Had a couple of streaming issues here, but that's my internet connection. It's not the devices themselves. So, all right. What would you say the latency is from Z150 to program out? A lot of that depends on frame rate. So if you're talking 60 frames per second, the latency is considerably shorter. I think it's like 2.5 frames, to be honest. So pretty short, but it is noticeable if we're going to a projector, because again, projectors do add a little bit of latency themselves, but it's not too bad. We've done enough concerts where we, IMAG, where the natural delay of audio coming from the sound system to the audience basically means the audio and video are arriving at the same time. So that's worked pretty well. Yeah, so Rigo asking if Blackmagic sponsors me at all with all the gear that I buy. No, they do not. I've had to pay for everything out of pocket, and they have not donated anything to me. That said, they have assisted me with a couple of repairs that I may not have gotten such good attention on if I didn't have this channel. But even before they knew who I was, they still treated me pretty well in terms of support. So, yeah, but they've never given me any equipment. This is everything that you see is stuff that I paid for out of my own pocket. So, all right, Ian. Hopefully, BMD adds a Terranex on every input of the Fairlight audio mixer to all their switchers. That'd be awesome. You know, we're probably getting close to having new versions of some of our switchers before too long. You know, their production studio line has been around for a few years now, so I have no inside information, so I don't know if anything's coming. But I wouldn't be surprised if we started to see some of those older products swapped out for newer ones. So, okay. Another mention of the live view. Okay, asking if I've looked into any remote heads beyond the PTZ cameras. Not for a couple of years now. Not sure why. I guess I just hadn't thought about it. So yeah, I would consider it. But the ones that I looked at a few years ago, they were insanely expensive. You know, thousands and thousands of dollars. And then you got to put a camera on top of it. So yes, Tom, it is a shame that Blackmagic should have sponsored my trailer. Could have saved me a lot of money. So I have made some contacts at Blackmagic, so that's been pretty cool. In fact, at NAB this last year, one of the senior product managers actually walked up and introduced himself to me. He recognized me from my channel, so that was kind of cool. And so I've got that relationship there. That's been nice. Aaron's, yes, it is 1:30 where you're at, so it's 12:30 here. It's late. I decided to do this live stream at this time of day because I'll be able to reach more of Europe at this time of day than I can during the middle of the day. So Blackmagic should add Ultimate King as well. That would be awesome, but they sell that as a separate product. That's I'm not sure the price on it, but I know it's expensive. I can't see them just throwing that in for free on some of the switchers. So Satinder experimenting with DJI gimbals and their remotes for a PTZ camera with high quality cameras. I hope you figure out something there. That's going to be a little rough coming up with a solution that works well, I think. So Mars asking if I use ISO cameras at events and record and program out. I do. Like most of the cameras that I use have their own built-in recorders, and so I just throw an SD card in and let them record. For the cameras that don't, I'll record here in the trailer. I have 8 video recorders here in the trailer. I usually record 2 copies of the program feed, at least. Sometimes I record a third, and then that leaves me with 4 additional recorders I can use for whatever. So, yeah. So Aaron asking if I've heard anything about the Video Go. I've seen this stuff on the website about it. It looks kind of intriguing, but that doesn't include the little snap-on modules for cellular streaming out of the box. And so by the time you configure it with everything you need, it's actually kind of expensive. So. All right, so Rigo, on the average gig, how many operators do you have? Total number of heads, how much do a level start at, and what's your overhead? If you don't mind answering, it's not cool. I'll try and answer somewhat. An average gig for us, we usually have 3 to 4 operators, plus a couple of PTZs, and then usually there's a lockdown camera or 2. So we're talking anywhere from 6 to 8 cameras at kind of an average event. We've done as many as 11 cameras out of the trailer here, but typical for us is about 6, with 3 operators in the venue and then somebody in the trailer, sometimes me running the PTZs. Event pricing. The best way I can answer that is to tell you to go to my website, djprod.biz, and then there's an estimate calculator on there, and you can get an idea from there. So You know, my profit margin is basically what I charge minus what I have to pay my crew, since my gear is pretty much all paid for at this point. So, gives you an idea. So, greetings from Austria. Hello, Austria. Awesome to have you. Go about asking how I put the YouTube chat in the video. That's just basically this laptop. Output of this laptop is going to the switcher, and then I'm doing an upstream key that's got some masking on it to get rid of the unnecessary stuff. So yeah. Mars asking how I do replays. I'm not ready to reveal that just yet. My solution is still in the works. I'm doing my own custom solution. It's a hybrid of off-the-shelf hardware with my own software, and once I have that ready to go, I don't know when that's going to be, but once I have it ready to go, I will do a full video on it. I promise you guys will understand it thoroughly. So I don't know when that's going to be. I haven't been working on it very actively because we haven't had any gigs that need it. If we were to get hired for a gig that needed it, I'd spend a week and finish the software. But so far, that hasn't been an issue. So, Stinder asking how I color match all the cameras, so everything looks the same. Well, first of all, a lot of the cameras that I use are the same model, so the Sony Z150s, and I'll set up one camera to get it basically perfect, and then we'll actually copy the settings from that camera to the other ones using an SD card. So that makes sure that those cameras match. And then my other main camera, Sony X70, basically has the same settings. So I have to choose the settings manually, but once the settings are dialed in the same, the picture is basically identical. Matching other cameras is a little bit trickier. It depends on how much setup time we have. If we have enough setup time, I'll actually get out my color chart and shoot those, and then use DaVinci Resolve to create some LUTs. And then my LUTmath.com site, LUTmath.com, you load 2 different LUTs, color correction LUTs from different cameras in there, and it produces a new LUT that makes camera B look like camera A. So I don't use that very often. Most of the time, because we just don't have the setup time to do it. But I've used that to make my PTZ cameras match my Z150s, and it works really well. So yeah. So Tom, again, encouraging the live view. I looked at the live view. It was considerably more money than I was going to spend on the video. The live views are a little bit harder to get here in the U.S. than they are elsewhere. So Stinder's asking what the red wire is. This one? That's for the microphone. This microphone is on. I'm just not using it. I did do one cool thing. You won't be able to see it on the video here, but I finally got an audio line run from this desk back to my audio mixer, so I don't have to run a cable across the floor. Anyway, so that wire is plugged into that, and the red was the one that I had handy, so that's what I used. Alright, so Rigo, you should do a tour of the trailer one day. I would love to see it. I actually have tours of the trailer on this YouTube channel, so just go search for some of those videos, and you can see pretty much everything in the trailer. So, greetings from Netherlands. Hello, Netherlands. It's good to get some more interaction from Europe. All right, so okay, I'm not sure how to say your name there, but how do I match exposure between all cameras? Basically, at this point, I am asking for over comms. How do I say this? I have a potential project in the works which will solve that problem. I'm not going to say any more than that. So, yeah, a solution which will allow cameras which aren't normally CCU capable to be controlled remotely. So, anyway. So Satinder saying, yeah, I'm using 2 mics. Well, it's on. I mainly put this one on so that I can get up and walk around to grab stuff and still talk while I'm moving around. But so far, you guys haven't had asked me to pull anything out, so I haven't had to get up. So yeah. Let's see. How am I applying the LUT? Okay, yeah. So I forgot to mention that. So the Blackmagic SDI to HDMI converters, the 6G and the Terranex Mini versions, have a feature to apply a LUT in real time. So you have the SDI signal come in, applies to the LUT, and then the signal, modified signal comes out the SDI out. So really easy, and I tested it. There is no additional latency whatsoever. It does it in real time with no additional delay. Both boxes do it with no delay. So you can apply the LUT that way. As far as creating the LUT, DaVinci Resolve actually has a live color feature, and you can create a LUT in real time. So if I'm trying to do something other than just a color correction LUT with that website that I mentioned, I can create a specific look in DaVinci Resolve. I actually have a computer here in the trailer that has DaVinci Resolve and a capture card, and so if I want to create a very specific look for an event, we can go into Resolve, set that up, and then upload that LUT into one of my Blackmagic converters and apply the LUT in real time. I will be doing a video on that at some point. I just haven't gotten around to do that yet. So, GoWeb asking how I manage internet connectivity in location where WAN internet is not available. So I have the capability of 3 or 4 internet connections here in the trailer. The trailer has its built-in cellular. It's a high-quality cellular, so most people freak out when I say cellular because they're used to cellular from a cell phone. This is way better. It's actually a dedicated modem that will allow bonding of multiple channels on a single carrier without any specific support from that carrier. It also allows me to swap out SIM cards from different carriers, and so at any particular location, if one carrier doesn't have enough bandwidth, I can swap it out. I've tried to use Wi-Fi at a number of venues. The trailer is set up to be able to jump onto somebody else's Wi-Fi network to do streaming that way. However, that has never worked very well. It works okay for web browsing. It does not work well for streaming. Streaming, you just need something that's more consistent and more reliable. So even though the trailer has that capability, in practice it has not actually worked out very well. So Tinender saying I need a LUT box for each camera. Every camera that I need to correct, that's correct. So if I was doing my 2 PTZs, correcting my 2 PTZs, you need 2 of those Blackmagic boxes. But they're only $145, so it's not expensive at all. So not to get political, but anything we need to buy quickly before all the tariffs kick in. You're asking the wrong person. I do not follow how those... I'm aware that there's some tariffs stuff happening. I have not been following exactly what industries that's going to impact, so I can't really answer that question. So Rigo asking what is a LUT. A LUT is a lookup table. It's actually a 3D lookup table, which basically says when you have this color input, output this color instead. And so you can do all sorts of cool things, like you can create a look to make your video. Say, for example, if you remember the movie The Matrix, that kind of green tint, you could use a LUT in order to apply that in real time. Or you can do black and white in real time. But what we're talking about here is actually color correction LUTs in order to make one camera look like another camera. So I've got a video here on this channel that describes how to do that. I've got a website I created, LUTmath.com, which basically you take these color correction LUTs that are generated from information from the camera, and it creates a new LUT to make camera B look like camera A, or at least as close as they can be given the other limitations. So, okay, so Satinder asking if I experience delays in direct XLR audio compared to the camera microphones going into the switcher. Well, audio going through the cameras does get delayed, and the cameras will intentionally delay the audio so that the picture and the audio line up. However, if you have direct audio that's not going through a camera, it will appear to be early. So the way I'm solving that in the trailer here is my new Yamaha mixer has, on one of its auxiliary send buses, the option to insert a delay. And so I've basically created, well, basically what I do is I take any audio feed that needs to be delayed, and instead of sending it to the stereo mix, I send it out through that aux send, and then it gets delayed and then mixed back into the program audio. However, it hasn't been a huge issue. The audio that you're hearing right now is not going through any additional delay, and so if it looks like it's synced, then we don't really have much of an issue here. Getting audio from all the cameras to match up exactly is a little bit tricky, and again, beyond the scope of anything I'm going to talk about here in a Q&A. Short answer is, if you really want audio from all your cameras to be matched up, you got to have identical cameras, and they have to be gen locked. Otherwise, it's going to be a little bit off. So the best solution really is to, if you need absolute sync, is to make sure all your audio sources are bypassing cameras, and then going through some sort of delay at this before it goes into the switcher in order to make sure that the audio then lines up with the video that's coming from the camera. Okay, so hello from Nepal. Hello, Nepal. And what kind of network router am I using? I am using a Ubiquiti Edge Router X is what it's called. So yeah, and I've been really happy with that. It's kind of a tough device to configure. You have to have a pretty good understanding of computer networking in order to set it up, but I have that background, so it wasn't too bad for me. Alright, so GoWeb asking what device I use to bind different networks for getting good internet speed. Well, it isn't really binding, but my Edge Router X does have the capability of supporting multiple internet connections and load balancing between them. So we can do another video about that at some point. But I think there's probably quite a few videos about the Edge Router X out there already, so I just looked that up. So got someone asking if I can wear my biodynamics to look more serious. If I wasn't wearing this microphone, I could. So, all right. So Satinder asking if I have recommendations for an on-camera microphone. Ooh, that's a difficult question to answer because different microphones are designed for different situations, different needs. So, I mean, if you need a shotgun mic to catch audio that's right in front of the camera, there's some good choices there. The Sennheiser 416 is a good classic. There is one from Aperture. It's called the Deity, which is kind of a clone, which is not bad, and it's a third the price. I've got one of those. So yeah. All right. So yeah, the question about the input delay on TFs. No, there is no delay on the TF series. That's one of the things that they don't have on that line. So I have to do it by sending it through an aux send. So yeah, I would love to have individual channel delays, but that mixer does not have that. All right, let's see. Would the intensity shuttle work with the ATEM Studio HD? Well, in theory it should, but that's kind of been a problematic product. So I'd consider looking at something else, to be frank. Ian asking why I decided against the 1ME advanced panel. Well, primarily because it doesn't have enough buttons to handle all 20 inputs without having to go into shift. And for some of the events that we do, that's kind of a deal breaker. You know, if, there have been a number when we had more than 10 cameras, and when I actually do get my instant replay system working, it's going to be coming in on high numbered inputs, and so switching back and forth between those, it really need dedicated buttons for that. The other reason is that I don't have the same level of customizability with one of those panels that I have with one of these X keys that I have, one of these two. So I'll probably end up having some combination of the two in the long run, but for right now, these X keys are working reasonably well, aside from the really buggy just macro software that I'm currently using. I will be doing my own software to interface between the X keys and the ATEM switcher at some point. It just hasn't been a huge priority for me, so because this just macro software is working mostly, and I need to be putting my time and my software development time into other things at the moment. So, all right. Okay, so Tinder asking if load balancing is if I have 3 iPhones with a hotspot all connected to it will give more bandwidth. The Edge Router X itself does not. There are several streaming devices that will. One of them, which Tom mentions, the LiveView and the Video Pro, the Video Go, they all do that. So yeah. Rigo asking if I've ever used DSLR cameras with the ATEM. I personally have not. I haven't really shot anything on DSLRs for several years now, to be honest. Yeah, I used to shoot on Canon DSLRs several years ago, but ever since I got my Sony Z150s for live production stuff, and my Ursa for more like film production style workflow. I haven't touched the DSLRs at all. So, all right. Asking if I miss the T-bar. If I ever need the T-bar, I can actually. You guys probably can't. Well, it's off right now, but I have the touch screen over here, and I always have the. Let me log in here. I always have the T-bar right there, so I can do it. I can use a T-bar. It's just not a physical. So, and I don't do like half fades or anything like that very often at all. That's very, very rare. So, take a shot every time Tom mentions the live view. Take a shot of some water. Alright, go web. When I switch between SDI and HDMI input on Blackmagic Web Presenter, black screen appeals for shifting. This is due to is this due to video resolution mismatch? I would suspect so, but I've never owned that device, so I don't really know that for sure. That'd be a good question for further support, Blackmagic support. Blackmagic support actually is quite good, guys. So if you haven't used them, they're worth giving a shot. So they're very responsive. I mean, I sent a question to him late last night at 2 a.m. When I was awake at 8 a.m. they had already answered it. So yeah. So. Let's see. No, I actually caught up to the questions. So, in terms of upgrades for the trailer, one of my next upgrades is actually going to be some of my intercom stuff. That will happen once I get the stage box for my Yamaha mixer. I'm probably getting close on that. But what I'm going to be doing is I'm taking the Behringer X-Air mixer that I've used in the past inside the venue, and putting that in the trailer for intercom. And so I'll actually have gate, compressor, equalizer, and just nice audio mixing capabilities for the intercom in the trailer. So and also because that has auto mixing capability, I can set it up where different stations can actually override other stations. So anyway, so that's something that's still coming. Alright, Rigo, at your event, do you have a live feed out to a projector or anything? And well, it depends on, I mean, we have done that quite a few times, where we do send a feed to a projector. It's been a little while since I've had to do that. Most of the stuff we've been doing recently has been like recording studios and some other like live concerts where they don't have projectors. So it's been a while since I've actually had to do iMag, but I've done it many, many times. We had a series of concerts we were shooting a couple years ago where we did iMag. We were doing something for them every week, and that went on for months. So, yeah. Alright, so Ian, a few other things I'm waiting for. Decimators in 4K and video and fiber video hub. Yeah, definitely. I asked the decimator guys about the 4K, and it doesn't seem like that's a priority. It didn't even sound like it was in the works, so I don't think I'd hold my breath on 4K. Video hub 4K, yeah, that's another one we're kind of waiting for. So yeah, the product I'm really waiting for is a 4K version of the camera converter. That's the only piece of equipment that I have, camera converters, that doesn't do 4K. So otherwise I could do 4K quite easily. So right now, if I need to do 4K, I have to run two separate fibers, one for comms and another and related stream like TOWIE and whatnot, and then one for video from the camera. So it's kind of a mess. So. Alright, so Aaron asking, you've combined at least 3 separate skill sets to get where you are, audio, video, and coding. How much would your progress business have suffered if you didn't have software? Well, and probably be fine, to be honest. Mostly the software capabilities have just made my job easier. Like for example, I use my own software for doing graphics, and if I had to buy something, like Chiron or something like that, it costs a lot of money. Those things are super expensive. There are other solutions, but I would have had to buy something instead of creating my own. Also being able to do my own website, that's been handy, and do some unique things on the website, like for example the schedule tracking that I've got on there, resource tracking. That's been unique. That's just been especially handy for staffing the crews, instead of having to make a million phone calls or send out a bazillion texts in order to find crews, members for the crew. The site automatically sends out email to, I've got more than 50 people on the list now, sends out an email to let them know that, hey, there's a job, if you wanna come work, just come sign up. So it's been very, very handy. So the software skills have definitely come in very, very handy, and they're going to become even more so. I've got a piece of software I'm working on right now. I'm going to release this for free once I finish it, but basically a piece of software that allows you to make multiple copies of files coming off of a memory card, so you basically have an instant backup. Right now, if you need to make 2 copies of it, it takes twice the time, but with the software that I'm working on, put the card in and it makes copies to 2 destinations simultaneously, so it takes the same amount of time to create 2 copies as it does to create 1. So little stuff like that, things that I can throw together. It's very, very handy, especially my background in software includes a lot of like file manipulation and utilities, that kind of thing. So yeah. Anyway, okay, they're asking how many watts the trailer consumes. So the trailer runs on 2 circuits. Here in the U.S. we're 110 volts. The one circuit is just for the air conditioner, and the other circuit runs all the electronics. And the power consumption for the electronics ranges from 700 watts up through, I want to say, about 1400. It tops out at about 1400 with everything running. I don't have a UPS. I have batteries. I actually have big RV batteries in here, and battery charger and inverter, and then a transfer switch that switches from shore power to the inverter if shore power is ever lost. So I don't need a UPS. The big problem with a UPS in this kind of situation is, like, when the UPS is charging, it draws a lot of power, and with just the electronics, I'm bumping right up against the maximum amount of power you can get out of a standard 15 amp circuit. So adding a UPS on top of that, which charges the battery, would actually push me over the power limits for a single circuit. So yeah, you guys saying the stream is breaking up again. Let's see. YouTube seems to think it's okay. Okay. Alright, they let me look TV, asking how good the auto mix is in the X Air, and can the 18 pass through all the audio channels on USB? I don't know the answer to either question, unfortunately. I haven't actually used the auto mix feature yet, and I have the XR16, not the 18. I haven't used the 18, so I'm not sure on that. Alright, so Tinder. Same graphics and media pulls at every event. Have to upload them every time it advances. Is there a way to store them in the A10 or automate the upload into the mixer? There is a way to automate. What you can do is save. What's the terminology they use? You say save as inside the A10 software, and that will actually save your media pool as well. It's a little bit counterintuitive when you actually go to load it. You won't see them appear automatically, but give it time and they will actually load in. And I do find that they load in faster that way than if you do it manually. So yeah, just save your settings for your ATEM, and then when you do a restore, that media pool will load back in again. All right, Ian, can you buy one of the new Blackmagic fiber camera converters and convert SMPTE to LC and MOX? Theoretically, you can. I don't know where to get converters for that, but all the Blackmagic fiber stuff is SMPTE compatible. So assuming you have a way to physically convert one connector to another, you should be able to convert those signals. So yeah, I've never actually tried that. I've only ever run my Blackmagic fiber over LC connectors. I have had to adapt to ST before, but it's always been just LC or ST. I've never had to go through one of their higher end. I have never actually used one of their higher end fiber camera converters or the higher end studio converter. Those are a little too rich for my blood, to be honest. Plus, they would have pushed my trailer power limits past the maximum. They actually draw quite a bit of power. So Tender, it should have a window open with the stream mouth. Yeah, it says good. Yeah, but okay, Tom, I am off. Great chat. Yes, please do the forum. Live view. Yeah, better take a drink. Thanks, Tom, for showing up, for your contributions. So I will take a longer look at the live view. I hear a lot of good things about it, to be honest. So, all right, GoWeb. Can we use Art Dual Preamp as an audio level control device? You're getting audio feed from another source. I haven't used that. I'm not sure about that. So, I would assume if it has good level controls, then yeah, you should be able to do that. So. Aaron, thanks for the answers. Always wondering if I should shift them on focus to learning to code. Any skill sets you've identified that would have been really helpful? Marketing, woodworking, graphic design. Graphic design, certainly. Marketing is a big one. Marketing is really my weak spot. Marketing and sales. Not only do I not enjoy doing that, I just don't have a natural knack for it. My mind doesn't think that way, so I have to rely on other people for marketing. I'm sure if I had taken some classes in college about marketing that I could do better, but that really is my weak spot. So marketing would definitely be a big one. Graphic design would definitely be helpful, but I'm finding these days you can get a lot of pre-made graphics pretty easily. So I've been able to get by without having to hire a graphic designer in a lot of cases, just by using pre-made graphics, and so it hasn't really been a huge issue for me. There's times that I would have been able to would have liked to. One of my sisters is actually a graphic designer, and she does pretty well. So she helped me with my company logo and some other things, and she does pretty well. So if I ever needed somebody, I could just hire her. So yeah, but coding is an interesting discipline. Some people really clicks and it really makes a lot of sense for them. Other people, it never does. I started so young. I actually started coding when I was 5, and so I've been doing it for over 40 years at this point. And I just had a natural knack for it. It was just kind of the way my brain works. And by the time I was 7, 8 years old, I was writing like Pac-Man type games. I had to teach myself some advanced math to keep up with the programming skills. So I was learning like algebra and geometry and trigonometry by the time I was 10 years old, just in order to do the coding that I wanted to do. But I would say, for people considering coding, if you have a natural knack for logic, and if you have a knack for learning foreign languages, you would probably do well with coding, because coding really is speaking to a computer in its own language. And so if you can speak multiple languages, and then coding might actually be something that works really well for you. So Leonard saying, not really a question, just want to say thanks for the great work in doing on the channel. Thank you, appreciate it. It's always good to hear good feedback. This channel actually does take more time than I ever thought. My goal initially was to only spend an hour per video. That those days are long gone. By the time I edit, render, whatever, it's usually more like most of a day in order to complete a video. So it is pretty time consuming. But as long as I get good feedback, I'll keep it up. So, all right. So Tinder, please consider the forum. Would be awesome. Okay, it's another vote. And GoWeb, same thing. Yes, forum would be awesome. Rigo, where do you usually shop for graphics templates? I've got a membership with Digital Juice, and so that's kind of my starting point. But at that point, if I don't find what I'm looking for there, I just kind of do a general web search using some keywords for the type of content that I'm looking for, and then just purchase stuff at a one-off. I don't have any other particular companies that I work with regularly, but there are a bunch of them out there. So, Alright, so I wish I knew how to say your name, but what language is most useful for dealing with real-time image processing? Most useful would be assembly language, but that's kind of a lost art. You don't see many people programming in assembly anymore. Yeah, English. That's that's funny. And just below assembly language, that's when you get into C. These days, if you want to do hardware-based stuff, like with FPGAs and some of those other types of things, just basically whatever languages they support. So if you're doing video processing, like an FPGA is a great way to handle that. You basically write code to create hardware in order to do the processing that you need to do. So, all right, under whatever. Sorry, I wish I could say your name too. Any experience on the BMD, SDI, Arduino Shield? Not me personally. I have not experimented with. I haven't done any experimentation with that Arduino stuff in terms of video, so maybe someday. That's certainly an interesting product. I wish they did a 6 gig version of that, not just a 3 gig, because I don't like to buy any equipment that doesn't support 6 gig, but there's certainly times that it makes sense. Leonard saying use VideoHive a lot. Thanks for the suggestion there. I haven't tried that one myself, so. Ian, not assembly. I'm forced to take a MIPS course right now for a CS degree. Assembly, you're not going to get better performance than you get out of assembly. If you need to do high-speed video processing, then assembly is going to be the fastest way to do it. Unless you're doing it with an FPGA. So. Satinder, I failed an assembly course, wasn't fun. Assembly is not fun. One thing that makes it a lot better, though, is if you have a good set of macros. So if you're trying to write code in assembly, find a good library of macros and make your life a lot easier. But I'm not a good assembly programmer. I haven't done a lot. Like the most sophisticated thing I ever did with assembly was some real-time audio processing. There's a whole story behind this, but when I was in college, I started a radio station in my dorm. And when the college found out about it, they didn't like it. And one of their concerns was the potential for someone to use foul language or something on the air. And so, one of the concessions that we made was to do a real-time audio delay, and I did that with some assembly coding on a Atari computer that I had at the time. So. Yeah, that was kind of fun to do. Also, on that same computer, I wrote some assembly code to do backup of data to audio cassettes. So I created my own encoding technique. Take like regular computer data, encode it into audio signal, send it out to a cassette drive, and then read it back and decode it. So yeah. You pronounce my name Matthew. Thank you, appreciate it. So macros for code, yes. Yeah, macros make assembly coding so much easier. And you find that just about anybody who does write code in assembly, like most of the stuff they do is macros. So yeah, it saves so much time, makes it so much easier. The same thing with video switchers. Macros are awesome. So I don't have any macros on this panel, but I do have a bunch of macros on this panel. So I've got a button, for example, to bring up the lower third. Background for the lower third, and then it brings up a key for the text on top of the lower third, and then after so much time it brings them both offline. So Rigo asking if I've ever hacked stuff. That's not really my thing. I've never really been too interested in that. I've never hacked anything to try and like gain access to anything that I wasn't supposed to or anything like that. It's never been anything that I was very interested in. I'm a creator. I like to create things. Like, I don't do it as much as I used to, but back in my younger days, I would actually just sit down and write software to do something for fun. Just pick a task and sit down and write the code in order to make it happen. I don't really do that much anymore, partially because I haven't come up with any challenges or anything that actually challenges me software-wise. I've been doing it for so long. 40 years is a long time to do anything. So, yeah. Anyway, is Blackmagic ever really going to release a Blackmagic camera converter 6 gig? I don't know. When I asked them about it at NAB, they said that they had nothing to announce. So, basically, that's the best I can answer that. I would love for them to do it. I would seriously love for them to do that. I think what their focus has been on their Ursa and studio cameras, and that's kind of the direction they would prefer people take instead of using other manufacturers' cameras. So I don't think it's a priority for them to produce new versions of that camera converter. But that would be awesome, and it wouldn't be. The funny thing is, like, it wouldn't be hard to do. There isn't anything super special going on inside that. In fact, somebody who had a little bit of hardware knowledge could produce that fairly easily. One of my old roommates, actually, as part of his college, one of his college projects, he was an electrical engineering major. He actually did some stuff very similar to the camera converter product, just as part of a senior project. So, yeah. Ian asking if I've seen the Scarhoy stuff. I have. I've actually had quite a few conversations with Casper. I missed him at NAB, but he's a nice guy. I still think his stuff is a little bit expensive, to be honest, for what it is. He's doing better. A lot of his newer stuff is quite a bit more affordable than his older stuff was. I think it is very high quality stuff, and he's doing some very cool stuff with the configuration. So, yeah. So if you want something that's super flexible and built like a tank, the Scarhoy stuff is pretty cool, but it is a little rich for my blood. So, X-Keys does have a T-bar product. It's the XK124, I think they call it. It's basically the same as this 128 key panel, but where 4 of the buttons, instead of where 4 of the buttons would normally reside, there's a T-bar there. So they do have that. So, media asking how I feel about the feature of NDI. The more I learn about NDI, the less excited I am about it. I know there's a place for it. There certainly is a place for it. Certainly be very useful as something like a PTZ camera. It does have... It has some limitations that make it basically be a non-starter for me. My whole trailer here, I'm losing my voice. My whole trailer here is set up around SDI, and that means like all my video routing and everything is all SDI. And so, you know, for example, when I've got a camera come in here, I can use my Video Hub video routers to send that signal anywhere I want. So a good example of that, I can set up a wide-angle camera at the back of a venue and send that feed to the audio booth here in the trailer. That way the audio guy always has a wide-angle view of everything that's going on. With NDI, that wouldn't be possible, because basically you only get one destination, at least as it currently works. So routing a signal to multiple locations is something that NDI doesn't handle very well just right now. But NDI is basically network. I forget what it stands for, but it's basically way of sending video over an Ethernet network. So, yeah. Okay, so Matthew asking if I know of a simple piece of hardware that can combine 4 SD SDI into 1 HD SDI. I haven't tried it, but I wonder if one of their... Blackmagic has a... I forget what they call it, but they have a box that does combine multiple signals. I think they have to be synced, though. I think signals have to be synced before they go in. Okay, Leonard saying that NDI does not now support multicast. That's good to know. They're making some improvements there, but it's got other limitations that I don't feel like. Another big issue with NDI is latency. It adds a minimum of 16 milliseconds of delay. That's the absolute minimum. Typical delay is actually considerably more than that. And you're also going to you'd have a real hard time getting cameras synced using NDI. So, let's see. BMD uses Tico for a 4K 60 with their Teranex IP video. Accentric creates a video hub with Teranex IP video hub software. I would choose this over NDI. Yeah, I probably would too. Yeah, like I say, more I research NDI, it's not really for me. So, Yeah, one of the other big issues with NDI, like the protocol itself might be free, but the devices that generate or convert to and from NDI are quite expensive, more expensive than fiber. So you're looking at like I think it's about $700 at each end of a run. If you're dealing with a camera that doesn't have NDI and a switcher that doesn't have NDI, it's about $700 at each end of the line in order to do the conversions. So. All right, so they're asking what the difference between NDI and HDMI over Ethernet. Well, NDI is actually a network protocol. The HDMI over Ethernet, if it's HDMI over IP, that's a different thing. But HDMI over Cat6, that's actually that remains an HDI signal. It never actually gets converted to computer data. There are, as someone else mentioned here, yeah, Ian meant that there are boxes that convert video to IP. And that may eventually be the way that the video production industry goes. We're still waiting to see on that. But NDI is something very different. It's compressed. It is compressed video, and they compress it in order to be able to send it over a traditional network. Whereas most of the IP solutions, the video over IP solutions, that are not compressing. They're just relying on super high bandwidth connections. So. Yeah, there's NDI, there's NDI HX, and HDI. HX is compressed, and from what I understand, I haven't used it, but from what I understand, the compression can be visible under certain circumstances. So, yeah. I don't think I'd really interested in NDI. So it is gaining some traction. You know, something that was started by NewTek with the TriCaster products and some of their other things, and like there are some camera manufacturers that are on board. I think Panasonic's doing some, PTZ Optics is doing some. So I mean, there are some manufacturers supporting it, and it does have a place, but I'm not sure that it has a place in my workflow, to be quite blunt about it. So, Stinder asking if I use TeamViewer for the trailer. I have used it before, but most part no. So. If you're doing an economy for NDI, you can use the Decklink Quad 2 for 8 IOs and CNS software for encoding. Okay, yeah. Thanks for the contribution there. You guys are asking some questions or things I don't have a lot of experience with, so it's good that you're helping each other out. Maybe that's a good reason to do a forum, right? So I'm gonna have to wrap this up before long here, guys. My voice is going. 3 a.m. in Florida. Yeah, it's late. This stream was primarily aimed at Europe because it's morning there, but yeah, people in the U.S. Awesome that you guys are joining. So FFmpeg. There's a universal tool for you. So I'll put some thought into doing the forum. If you're watching this video after the fact, weigh in on the comments about whether a forum would be something you'd use. I don't want to take the time to write something like that if it isn't going to get some traction. Let's see, Leonard, we run a TV channel with 300,000 households where we use NDI between the playout machine and encoder. Yeah, and so there are applications for it. Yeah, I'm not totally against NDI. I haven't found a workflow for it that works for me. Yeah, it'd probably be a little bit different if I was using a NewTek TriCaster, but since I'm using a Blackmagic A10 switcher, NDI is pretty inconvenient and doesn't really offer any advantages in that environment. GoAb asking if I have a team. So yes and no. I have a number of guys that I work with pretty regularly. And then the rest of the team is basically contractors that we hire on as needed. Yeah, I've got some demonstration of some of this on the YouTube channel, but my website is set up so that potential contractors can basically sign in, indicate what types of jobs they're interested in doing, and then when one of those jobs, and then I'll choose people based on their skill level, how much money they're asking for the job, and it helps build out a crew that way. So I've got over 50 people signed up on the site, and most of the time I don't have too much trouble putting together a crew, except for the freebie events that we have going on. That I've kind of worn out my welcome with some of the freebies with some of my crew. So, all right, okay. Dynamic metadata and broadcast already thing in the U.S. Not yet. It's going to be something with ATSC 3.0, which is kind of in final testing right now. It's going to be a few more years before that becomes common. Ian asking if I have used the duplicator 4K. I have not. That's something I would like to add to my arsenal. I have not picked one up yet. I haven't done any events where I need to do mass duplication right there just yet. Finding that online distribution works pretty well most of the time. All right, Rigo, I was trying to figure out what to watch to go to bed, and I got the push notification as Doug live was seen in. No, I'm not tired. Well, thanks for tuning in. So this was totally impromptu. I didn't plan this thing. It was just kind of. I actually finished shooting another video. I'll probably be releasing in the next couple days, and since I had everything set up, I was like, well, I'll just do a live stream. So, all right. Not kidding. FFmpeg supports NDI. Yeah, it's not surprising. FFmpeg supports pretty much everything. Leonard, NDI saved me multiple times, and I'd always prefer SDI over NDI. Yeah, yep, exactly. SDI is going to be more reliable. Aaron asking, speaking of the team, where's Paul? Paul, he was in the chat room earlier. He's getting ready to go on a trip tomorrow, so he's in bed. So, Satinder asking if I use the ATM SDK. Yes, I have. More about that soon. So. Okay, what are you using to encode this stream? This is a Teradek video. So, by the way, random to your comment on the video of the guy who claims we can't see 4K, no films in 4K or 4K. I had a laugh. Yeah, I always wonder if any guys actually run into my comments. I don't comment on China videos on YouTube, but that guy was so far off the mark. I had to say something. So. Alright, Ian asking how an HDR broadcast workflow works. Does it exceed the bandwidth of 6 gig or 3 gig or 6 gig? In the broadcast world, HDR is done, at least theoretically, using hybrid log gamma, HLG. Nice thing about HLG is it doesn't require any additional bandwidth. It doesn't require any special equipment. All you need is cameras to support it. So my Sony... my Sony Z150s actually will do HLG, and I have shot a number of videos using HLG. And I've even, some of the videos on this channel were actually shot in HLG, so there's a challenge for you. See if you guys can figure out which ones, which videos I've shot in HDR here on the channel. You can even live switch HLG. The main trick with HLG is making sure that your rendered file is correctly tagged with the right metadata, so that when it gets displayed, those highlights and shadows get expanded and compressed properly. So, but as far as HDR in the broadcast world, HLG is the way it's being done. It can also be done with BT 2020, which doesn't require an additional bandwidth or anything like that. The nice thing about professional video over SDI is it actually does have 10 bits. It is a 10-bit signal, and that's all you require for HDR. So in terms of the capability of the hardware we're already using is actually capable of it. The main problem is making sure that you have the right metadata so that it gets displayed properly. So HDR is theoretically not gonna require any equipment upgrades in order to really support it for broadcast environment. So media saying do more of these maybe once a week. If I didn't have so many things going on, I'd consider it. It's also kind of nice to space them out, because that way people will actually have time to think of some questions. So I would definitely consider doing them once a month. So, but yeah. Go Web saying if I need a contract in India, consider me. Sure thing. I don't have any jobs planned in India anytime soon, but if I ever do, I will certainly be reaching out to on the channel. I think I have a number of viewers in India. So, Rigo, with live video becoming more popular, do you think there will be more brands that compete with Blackmagic prices? Probably. We've got some other brands that are kind of close. AJA. They're not too far off price-wise. And we're seeing some generic Chinese products here and there. that are offering some competition for things like converters, things like that. So, yeah. All right, Media Apex. What's the best affordable monitor for multicam view? Well, if you're just talking about like the multi-view on the output of a switcher, any decent consumer television will work fine for that. So, Tarek asking if I checked out the Sony PXW Z190. Very interesting camera, and HD zoom is 50 times. Yeah, when I'm in the market for a camera again, that will probably be my next one. I got to play with one a little bit at NAB for a few minutes. It seemed like a pretty good camera. A lot of things are impressive about it. The one thing that I wish it was a little better, it's only got the 1/3 inch sensors on it, even though it is 3-chip. It does only have the 1/3 inch. So I do worry a bit about low light performance. I haven't had a chance to try one hands-on at that level, but yeah, the 50 times zoom, that's pretty compelling. For watching, more videos coming, so appreciate you participating. So, all right. I'm gonna give this another 5 minutes here, and then I'll wrap it up. So, not the Z280. The Z280 looks pretty awesome too, but it is nearly twice the price of the 190. It's about $7,000, so it's pretty expensive. And whenever you can buy 2 cameras for the price of one, it's sometimes hard to make that judgment call, because like sometimes it's more important to have more cameras than it is to have one better camera. So, yeah. Paul, I guess Paul didn't go to bed. What are you doing up, Paul? Dave told me there's a new Canon that's similar to Sony's A7 series. Yeah, the Canon EOS R was announced a couple weeks ago, and it looks interesting. So, yeah. Yeah, there's Paul. Paul's back. Paul, you got your own fan club. How do you feel about that? Paul's awesome. Paul's a great guy. One of my closest friends. Lucky to know him. I'm lucky to have him on the team. He's not just a nice guy, he's an amazing camera operator too. So, oops, hitting my boom mic. So, yeah, the Z280 looks awesome. Yeah, that looks like a pretty awesome camera. A lot to like about that one. So, I mean, if I had infinite budget, I'm sure I'd have one in my arsenal. But yeah, that's the thing. Building this trailer really tapped me out. So I'm not going to be doing any significant upgrades for a while. So there you go, staying away for the EOS R Mark II. Yeah, probably. Probably do the same thing. The EOS R looks interesting, but it does have enough shortcomings. The one that really bugs me is lack of full sensor 4K. So, yeah. Paul, you're very welcome. You're a great guy. So, Media Apex, are most of your gigs local? Yes, most of them are. I kind of hinted at this earlier, but still in negotiations with a company to take on a series of events that are national next year. So, we'll see. And if I do that, I'll have to invest in some other gear, so I can't take the trailer all the way across the country for a bunch of one-day events. We'll see. What do you think of the Panasonic AG DVX200? I haven't used that one. I haven't really spent much time researching that, so yeah. September, I have no idea what the Z290 is. I must have misspoke. There's a 190 and the 280, but I wonder if it'll fit with my FS7 V. So. Paul saying, if dark sensitivity on the R is any good, I'd love to try it out for my vlog. It's going to be better than your current EOS M6, that's for sure. Yeah, the full frame sensor. Full frame sensors always gather more light than the smaller ones. So yeah, it's interesting. So yes, the Z280 September. So yeah, Z280. It's 2/3 inch chip, and it's 3-chip, and looks like it's a really cool camera. Lots of cool stuff going on there. So One of the nice things about the 190 and the 280, at least from a production point of view, like a standard production, I kind of like more film style production, is they support S-Log, which my Z150 does not. So, Rigo asking if I do video production full time. Not currently. It's still a part-time deal for me. I'm hoping to make it my full-time thing. I've been doing software for so long and kind of lost my I don't know, passion for it. So I still do software, but I am trying to transition into video as my full-time thing. So, yeah. Tarek, I've had the yeah, Paul, yeah, the flip-up screen. It doesn't have a flip-up; it has a flip out, so the screen flips out to the side, so you can. It is a great vlogging camera. Okay, so Tarek, I had the DVX for live work is not good. PXW X160, that's an older one. It's way better in low light and colors are way better. Plus the lens is fast. F1.4. So yeah. Satinder, you should do a trailer video about your experience after having it fully built. Well, I could, but honestly, the experience of the trailer hasn't changed since I finished it, because thanks, Paul. $2. I want my $2. My experience with the trailer hasn't really changed for about a year, to be honest, because as of about a year ago, all the stuff that I needed to have done was actually done. So it didn't look great, but it was fully functional at this point. So in reality, I've been using the fully functional trailer for, as of this month, basically a year. It was about a year ago that I put the front video wall up, and yeah, that was kind of the last of the basic requirements. So I'm always happy to answer any questions you have about the trailer. So if you have specific questions, let me know. Media Apex, building my kit where I can ship to locations. Cool, my traveling gear. Yeah. I'm not super excited about the traveling portion. You know, I had to do some traveling as part of my last full-time job, but it'd be cool to have consistent work. The one I'm talking about is actually, there's 14 shows over the course of the year. So yeah. Ian asking if I do any camera operator training. Personally, no. I'm just an adequate camera operator. I'm not amazing at it. So I should talk to Paul here on the channel. He's an awesome operator. I get to give you some tips. So Rigo asking how I got into video production. Well, my experience with video actually does go back quite a long time. I started doing some video stuff in the early 90s, and then I started doing the live thing, I want to say around 2000, year 2000. And it was just a part-time thing, but I was doing it reasonably often. Smaller gigs, like mostly as a volunteer. I wasn't really doing it as trying to make a career of it. So, well, anyway, yeah. So I just, and then, since I was a little kid, I'd always dreamed about having a production vehicle like this. It's just so awesome to have everything all pre-configured and ready to go. When I kind of got burned out at my last coding job 2 years ago, I decided I was going to try and make video my career. So I started reinvesting in all the gear, and a few months later is when I decided to build the trailer. So apparently YouTube takes 50% of Super Chat. I don't know. I haven't heard that. So Satinder asking if I have any branding on the outside of the trailer. No, I do not. Outside of the trailer is about as generic as can be by design. So Ian saying, yeah, Paul, you should film a video for DJP on camera op training for the channel. So just roped you into doing something there. Paul could, I'd love to have something on my channel, but Paul does have his own YouTube channel, so go subscribe to him. So he puts video up there pretty often. So yeah, go subscribe to his channel. Tarek, Doug, not to invest in CCU cameras and do broadcast work. CCU cameras would be awesome. The main problem there is the cost. You know, I really am trying to keep the cost of this I want to keep my services affordable, which means investing in gear that's less expensive than the cameras with CCUs. Those things get expensive. You know, the cheapest camera chains I've seen are in the 20 grand range, and the cameras that I'm using now are like $3,000 a piece. So I can buy 6 cameras for the price of one camera chain. So it's difficult to justify the CCU model when I need to keep my costs so low. So people asking why Paul's name is blue. Paul's a moderator, so he can moderate the channel. So he shows up in blue. He gets special privileges on here. So treat Paul nice, because he can ban you or do other things. So all right. Okay, guys, my voice is shot, and it's going to be my bedtime here in about 20 minutes. So I need to start wrapping this up. Any last questions? I'll give you guys about 2 minutes, and then I'm going to have to sign off. So for those who didn't hear earlier, I actually did. This actually being shot 4K. How unfortunately the recorder that was recording it ran out of card space, and so I don't have a full recording. Okay, Maddie, how to make a video from your microfiber multicore and breakout box in detail. I already have one that kind of covers that pretty well. Just do a search for fiber on my channel, and you should see it. I forget the title. I forget the title of that one, but I do cover how all that breakout box and the multi-core fiber actually works. So Rigo, I've been watching for about a year. Awesome. Yeah. I realized the other day it's been about 2 years since I actually started putting content on this channel, so quite a while now. So thanks, Tinder, for your comments. I do enjoy making these videos for the channel. It's kind of fun. I want to do more reviews than what I've been doing, but without purchasing the products, it's difficult to do that. So, Tarek asking how many gigs I do per year. This year we've done about 40. So, yeah, it varies. I would love to be in a situation where I'm doing about 2 gigs a week. So that would kind of be ideal. I'm not there, not quite there yet. And things have definitely slowed down the last little while too. I don't have anything this week. I've got one next week, and then I don't have anything planned after that at all. So yeah. So all right. Namaste. Good night. Thanks everybody for watching. So long. Farewell. Auf Wiedersehen. Everything. Do I offer local display for gigs like screens to other rooms? Sometimes. Am I married? No, I am not married. I've never found the right girl that can put up with me. So anyway, thanks guys for watching. I'm gonna leave this video up, so yeah, if you missed something, you can go back and watch it from the beginning and see what you missed. So anyway, appreciate all the support you guys give. It's awesome hearing from you guys, and yeah, again, if you're interested in me doing a forum site, let me know in the comments, and I'll see what I can do. So okay, thanks guys, talk to you later.